What's going on, YouTube? Let's start this part two. Let's get into it because it's a lot of information to cover and I want to get right into it. And remember, we were talking about languages, and one of the things that I wanted to use a biblical reference in order to gain clarity and gain a little insight and let you know where I'm leading and where I'm going with this, because we have to understand what is the center of the confusion. And it is language. And how do we know that? It gave a clue in that biblical reference, which was when they built the Tower of Babel. Tower of Babylon, right? And then they were so arrogant that they built this tower thinking that they could reach God, okay? And what did God do? He ended up confusing the languages. So that is the center of the confusion. All right. And then when I, in the previous video, what did I do? I talked about what were the six largest, language groups. And because most people don't know, a lot of our people are not linguists. Okay. So the six largest language groups are what? Are Niger Congo, you have the Austronesian, you have the Trans-New Guinea, you have the Sino-Tibetan, then you have Indo-European, and then Afro-Asiatic. And then so we know why Indo-European was able to surpass the Afro-Asiatic, because they became conquistadors and ran around conquering lands that were inhabited by the indigenous, okay, getting them to speak the Romance languages. And obviously we know another branch of the Indo-European language would be the Germanic languages, which that would include German, English, which is the most spoken, and then Dutch. And then there's a dialect of Dutch called the Afrikaans, which is spoken in Africa. But I digress. So what do we know? We know that we have to take a look at the Afro-Asiatic language group and then take a look at its branches. And what are those branches of the Afro-Asiatic group? Those branches are Cushitic, Berber, Semitic, Omitic, and Chadic. Okay, now this is one of the reasons why I told you that I refuse to, I just hate when people, especially a specific group of people say, oh, well, it's anti-Semitic to speak this way. Well, that just shows you how much they're letting you know. It's like I said, hidden in plain sight. They're saying it's like there's not other Semitic groups. All right, Swahili is a Semitic language. Arabic is a Semitic language. So if you're in Palestine and you dropping bombs on a whole bunch of Arabics, that is anti-Semitism. Okay, that's what you need to know. That's what I was saying before. Like, you have to understand. See, we don't know. Like, there's monolinguists, and then there is obviously multilinguists. And us Black people, we, as you see in African culture, they speak a ton of languages. Which, in essence, is what we're saying is that we birthed a lot of thoughts in many different tongues. And so, when you have the argument when people say, "Oh, well, it was in Hebrew and they're using this Hebrew name," and it's ridiculous, because all those languages come from those Semitic languages come from the Afro-Asiatic language group. So when we say that these people stole our culture, we don't have to go and prove this, that, and the other. Just go to if you're a linguist and you know language groups, all you have to do is just show them the proof that this. How could you have any thoughts? How could you speak this language if it did not derive from the African tongue? So if you speak a language is where thoughts come from. You would not have the thoughts if you didn't have the language. Okay? That's what you need to know. And so, like I said, and that was when I was reading some comments, because it took me to, like I said, I listen to a lot of people, and I'm not affected by hearing other people speak. I'm intrigued by individuals because I'm always curious about how other people think. But when I start to drop names, people are like, oh, wait, you listen to that brother. This brother was debunked. Just like, when I was listening to a lecture given by Dr. Ray Hagins, it was a brother who videos was right under there talking about how he debunked Ray Hagins and how Ray Hagins is spitting, mistruths, and how he was like, oh, yeah, because I'm into Egyptology and I'm a Pentecostal. And I was like, a Pentecostal? That's Greek for the Jewish week of feasts. And being a Pentecostal, there's also a couple other characteristics associated with that belief system, which is some people claim that they can speak in tongues and they can heal people. This nigga didn't look like he could do neither. And this is amazing to me, because like we said, they all have their roots in the Afro language. So when Black people go about talking about like they stole our culture, just look at the language. Where is the language connected to? This is why you let them use anti-Semite and being anti-Semitic, and you're not even knowing like everything. That would mean that everything is anti-African, because your language comes from us. That's what you need to know. Just like I was, this one brother, it was in the comment section of a Ray Hagins lecture, and he was saying, I guess the topic of his lecture has something to do with, we're standing in our own way and what we do to ourselves, or something to that effect. And the brother was like, oh, he don't even really know that, the reason why we curse is because we from Canaan, the land of Canaan, and we're Canaanites, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, man, this dumbass nigga. Because then once again, studying languages, and then you have to understand too that the Canaanites is a general term. Once again, it does not characterize a specific ethnic group, just like the Moors didn't characterize a specific ethnic group. Okay, Canaanites were the Israelites, there were the Judeans, the Carthaginians, the Phoenicians, the Samaritans, the Ammonites, the Amorites, okay, the Suteans, the Moabites, the Edomites, the Ekronites, and the Amalekites. Okay, a general term. All right, that's when I get to asking, see, this is what people don't understand, man. You got to dig deeply. You got to dig deeply. And so when I was talking about how you have to dig deeply, I asked the brother, I said, do you know about the Archangel Samuel? And it's spelled Samael. And in some transliterations, it's spelled Samil. All right. Now, the Archangel Samuel is referred to in three Jewish cultural, um, what I would like to say, their cultural extensions, the literary works, because I don't, some are claimed to be anonymous, but they definitely use these works to refer to. All right. And so three of those works, which are prominent, which would be the Talmud. Some know them as the Babylonian Talmud. Okay, and what is a Talmud? The Talmud is basically a set of religious laws and principles that the Jews live by. It actually, before the modern era, it was actually seen as the centerpiece of Jewish culture, how they would conduct their life affairs based off of the Talmud. Okay, and then you have the Zohar. The Zohar is a mystical book, and then most people know it as the Zoharistic Kabbalah. All right. Okay, and then you have the alphabet of Ben Sira, the alphabet of Ben Sirach, Sira or Sirac. All right, and what is that? That is a manuscript that was written anonymously, like I said, around in the Middle Age manuscript, and it basically contains like 44 proverbs, and 22 of those proverbs are written in Jewish Babylonian Aramaic, and the other is written in Mishnaic Hebrew. All right, that's something that you have to understand. But those tell you about the lores in those manuscripts. Tell you about the Archangel Samuel. Now, Samuel was called the poison of God. He is seen as the arch enemy of the Jews, right? But he is also seen as the guardian angel of Rome and the Prince of Rome. Did you know that? Okay, it's called the angel of death. I'm pretty sure you heard that term before, because see, in transliterations, the story changes up. Just like you have the Masoretic text, which is supposed to be the official rabbinical text of the Jews, which was translated somewhere between 6th and in the 10th century from Hebrew, supposedly, right? And then that 24 books was turned into 36 books of the Old Testament in Christianity. And when Christianity got a hold of it, the Archangel Samuel took the form of Satan. Because the Archangel Samuel was the one who deceived Eve. Instead of being the serpent, he actually rides on the serpent like a camel. Okay? He's the one who had sex with Lilith. Lilith leaves Adam and becomes a succubus. She never returns to the Garden of Eden because she establishes his relationship with the Archangel Samuel. And he had 4 queens that were called the 4 queens of the demons. Did you know that? And the 4 queens, I believe their name was Akrat bat Mahal, Malat. No, Akrat bat Malat. The other one was Nama, and the other one was Aishesh, and then it was Lilith. See what I'm saying? So Akrat bat Malat, Aishesh, Nama, and Lilith. And so in some stories, you have him having sex with Lilith and then birthing. He's supposedly been the father of Cain, and that's why when you hear Cain taking a wife for himself, and that wasn't explained in the Bible as how was he able to take a wife for himself, because to the best of our knowledge, it was Adam, Eve, then Cain and Abel. Where did Cain get a wife from? From the Archangel Samuel. All right, that's what you need to know. So all these things are interesting, and it points back to the languages, and that's where the center of confusion comes from. And so when we take a look, just like what we was talking about, things being hidden in plain sight, when and then I have to go quickly into and I'll go back to that because there's a couple more points that I want, but I wanted to hit on the color, the importance of blackness and color, and why we need to take this seriously because of who and what we are, and why they stole our history to keep us rooted and keep us grounded in confusion. Therefore we would never get, because this idea that we're the same underneath is just total ridiculousness. It is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And so when we take a look at that, just like for instance, I love geography, and I was in class one day, and we obviously studying the trade winds and latitude, lines of latitude. And I just, for some odd reason, I would say, we were studying the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, why do they call it the Tropic of Cancer? Was it a little, it just amazed me that it was both a literal and symbolic interpretation. And I was right. Guess what? You was right. Okay, now what is the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn? These are also called the horse latitudes. And then it's amazing, on a side note, for a tidbit of information, the Encyclopedia Britannica said that the reason why they call it the horse latitudes is because when you're traveling in those latitudes, the air is so dry and it's so humid that the Europeans, when they traveled with horses, in order to save water, they would throw the horses overboard. That's according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. But I digress. One of the other points is that when the sun is directly overhead at noon. All right, directly overhead, and we're not talking about when you're in a very higher latitude. It'll be at its height, but it won't be directly overhead. The furthest the sun will go directly overhead north is 23.5 degrees or 23.5 degrees. That's when it will be directly overhead north, and the furthest the sun will go south directly overhead is 23.5 degrees south, which would be the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, these are constellations, okay? The constellation for the Tropic of Cancer is the crab. Okay? And the constellation for the Tropic of Capricorn is the goat. Okay? So you have the summer solstice in Cancer, and you have the winter solstice in Capricorn. All right? Now the crab, now this is interesting. Now, who's supposed to be the father of medicine? Hippocrates. Okay, Hippocrates has stated that the cancer is Latin and Greek for crab. Did you know that? Man, bro, I'm killing you niggas right now. And Hippocrates has stated that the when carcinoma is skin cancer. Did you know that? So he has stated that the skin cancer looked like a crab as it began to, take shape or take form. So the Tropic of Cancer, when they took that route, that literally the first cancer known to them was skin cancer. They couldn't be out in the sun, as we already know. We know this. We already know this. So they called it the Tropic of Cancer. Guess what other places alongside the latitude of the Tropic of Cancer? Egypt. So this is one of the reasons why, like we said, stop going to being emotional when you're arguing with these Europeans about who was in Egypt at that time. You literally had called it an area of cancer. Okay? So you have the Tropic of Capricorn, that constellation, that's a goat. Now look at the symbolism. Once again, and we know the goat and that symbolism, and we have to talk about this. We have to mention this. Do you know that an adult goat is called a billy goat? Do you know that an adult female goat is called a nanny? An immature goat is called a kid. You get a nanny to watch your kids? Names like Billy the Kid? Bro, they've been throwing the symbolism at you 9 ways to Sunday, and you ain't been catching it. 9 ways to Sunday, and you ain't been catching it. You see what I'm saying? And this is why, like, we go back when we talk about the bulls. These these are bovine creatures. You got the, the cattle, they're called bovids. Cattle, goats, sheep. That's why when we say Jesus leading the sheep, and the sheep, they've been throwing this at you. Because the winter solstice is see, this is one of the reasons why they take that symbolism, because that's when the sun is the furthest away from them. That's why, like we talk about, it's the most wonderful time. Y'all ain't getting it, man. Y'all ain't getting it. And then when it's closest to them, it is a cancer-driven. Remember when we told you, when it's some individuals that's on YouTube right now that are looking at white skin under UV light. So a lot of black people, they're like, oh, well, man, they on blackface. They make them, once again, emotional. You don't even know why they doing it. Do you know under UV cameras, when they aim UV cameras at white folks and they put on sunscreen or suntan lotion, it looks like they're putting on blackface. They're not mocking you. They're mocking themselves. I don't know. All I know is I'm killing you niggas. That's all I know. And I guarantee you ain't got nobody fucking with me. I just had to say that I'm sorry. And if you got, I know this is supposed to be educational, but sometimes your boy Hey Rube just get riled up. And it's not because it's feelings over facts. It's just that these facts give you feelings. I'm trying to tell you. You understand what I'm saying? So look how powerful the symbolism is. I tell you, I don't give you surface level information. I come to crack heads, man. When you got these brothers and sisters over here, oh man, and this is what black people need to do. This is why they told you that you don't understand that you're the enemy. Remember when I told you black is just not a color? They've got convinced you that we're all the same underneath. Let me tell you something. Like, it's interesting, just like in the book, or just like you can learn in any basic science class. What do you look when you look at the skin? You look at the skin and it has those layers. What is the bottom layer? You have the stratum basal. Then you have the stratum spinosum. Then you have the stratum granulosum. Then you have the stratum corneum. All right, and all those cells are made from the bottom and work their way up to the top. Then, so you basically at the stratum basal, that is the epidermis, and then underneath the epidermis you have the dermis. Okay, and so melanocytes are basically what's called migration cells, along with Langerhans and Merkel cells. All right, and so the melanocytes basically start at the flank of the spine during early stages of embryonic development and begin to travel at the interface, or what is called the shared boundary of the dermis and the epidermis. They migrate and colonize the body. And when we talked about carbon, this is what I told you, carbon, just because you can name something does not mean that you know what it is. Remember, carbon in the periodic table of elements is called the king of elements. All right? And so when people say, oh, what's better, melanin or carbon? All you have to do, like we said, take your emotions out of it. Take a look at the facts. Look at the melanin molecule. It's made up of 34 atoms. 18 of those atoms are carbon. 10 of those atoms are hydrogen, 4 of those atoms are oxygen, and the remaining 2 is nitrogen. So you tell me what melanin is, based on its the constituents that make it up. Okay, allowing you to absorb, not protect yourself from, not shield yourself from, absorb. See, look at the language that they use. It's sunscreen. Like, because even in this book, like I told you, I said, don't fully submit to everything somebody says. Even though this is a great read, what is the terminology that she uses? Oh, the melanin allows you to protect. This is not a protect thing. How are you protecting yourself from the sun when it's giving you vitamin D, which is critical for brain for brain neurotransmitters? Okay, that's why they call it the sunshine vitamin. Your melanin allows you to absorb 99.9% of the rays that's coming from the electromagnetic spectrum, your sun. And so, see, remember when I told you how they get you to hate what you are? Remember we talked about that a little bit when even when I said in the video before, which when the brother brought up 666, and we take a look at carbon, it has six protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons, 666. How they said that you people were sun worshipers. How they were worshiping the sun like it's God. Like, look, bro, I'm just, if I was just to be real, I'm not saying that the sun is God, but it's doing one hell of a fucking impersonation. Take the sun out the equation. If the sun is so bad, if worshiping the sun is so bad, let the sun go dark. Let the sun burn out. Then tell me how you feel. Shut the fuck up. You know, I hear some brothers that use these terms. I said, remember, it's couched in the language. Everything black is bad. Oh, black magic, black this, black ball. And then we're so used to hearing it, we don't even question it no more. But yet let you reverse those words, reverse those spells or spelling, and then start saying, oh man, well, I was white ball today. Even a black person look at you like, white ball, what that mean? You ain't got no problem knowing what black ball mean, though, do you? This is what, like Martin Luther King said, and I don't even subscribe to that agent too much, but one thing that he said, which I took in, which just really impressed me, was that it's couched in the language. All right, you put spells on yourself every time you see, because you don't understand that the confusion would be in the language. They told you that. It's told you in your manuscript that most of you people followed, but that you don't pay attention to. This is what you have to understand. These brothers out here, they sitting up bickering and arguing with each other, and true enough, you know, I've done some videos and I've said, look, I'm coming for their heads, but I'm coming for their heads to bring the knowledge, to differentiate myself or to separate myself from them, not to constantly attack them. But if they say something that obviously isn't true, then I will, if it's wrong, then we'll go through taking the measures to correct them. And then we'll move on. You won't hear nothing from me for nothing about them jokers, man. Because they don't think they surface level niggas. No, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. I'm King Kong this, and I'm, man, look at these brothers. I'm Mac this, and oh, I'm telling you about this, and I'm telling you about that. How many people telling you about the, you know, we've had some brothers talk about this. Look, man, some great teachers. Dr. Delbert Blair, we know about Dr. Ben. You know, I even love, like I said, it was even, you know, one of, I feel like was great. We all know about Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. You know, I don't have to, that goes without being said. But Dr. Jewel Pookrum, coming out of Michigan. That sister has had some incredible information. You know, it's some brothers and sisters that have really changed me and really have gotten me on that path so that I can be a warrior for my son and a warrior to my people. Because a lot of times, what do we hear? We hear blacks say this argument. Have you heard this from some blacks? Oh, man, you know, I'm listening to the conscious community. I already know that. We need to stop talking about being conscious. I've heard that from men and women, black men and women. Oh, we heard that. Nigga, let me ask you a question. When you graduate high school, do they shut the school down, nigga? No, because there's another generation that's got to go through the same process. Obviously, what we're saying is not resonating, or we're not saying it enough because we keep complaining about brothers and sisters not being changed by the information. So it's either one or two things happening that's going on. Either we're not doing enough to get the information out there, or when you hear it, you turn the other cheek. Niggas crack me up. Oh man, I don't want to hear that. I've already heard that. I already know that. Just like you know your ABCs, but do they stop teaching it? You know your 1, 2, 3s, but do they stop teaching it? Do they shut down kindergartens and the kindergarten class? And do they shut down middle school and high school, nigga, once you graduate? No, they don't. Because it's another generation that has to be to take your place. Dummy. So all y'all want to do is an excuse for division. You got no clue, and you definitely don't got no clue who the hell I am. Don't come to me with no surface level shit. I will destroy you. Can't you tell? And so this is, you know, all those things, man, all these things, as you can see, gets me charged because I have no problem talking to y'all because I'm for y'all. I know what the war is about. Melanin popping. Melanin is popping. I don't care what. See, when you get individuals to sit up there and get you confused and to get you to believe that we all the same underneath, if we were the same underneath, we'd be the same on top. It's like we talked about those 4 layers. Though it's made at the basal and brought to the surface. So if you ain't got that, if you ain't got melanin like we talked about, it is made at the interface of the epidermis and the dermis. And then it's brought forth. So if you don't have that, you don't have much. You definitely don't got what I got. And should we be mad? Should we be upset? Should we feel some type of way because we got melanin? They would like you to feel that way. Telling you, man, nothing could be furthest from the truth. That's why I tell you all the time, man. I would enjoy slaughtering these niggas. I really would. But mind you, that is not the point of emphasis. The point of emphasis is to make sure that we are showing individuals that we aren't for no games. This neuromelanin is cracking. I read something, it's lock and key. I'm telling you, I'm for no games, man. All I do is just books around me. I wish I'll just show you all. That's all I do. And my mind is like seek and destroy. Okay, and this is important to me. This is I really didn't, when I was telling people I was gonna start my YouTube channel, I just felt like it was time. Now, granted, like I was telling people, I don't really try to get my my personal situation out there, but this is I want you brothers and sisters to stick with me. I haven't been able to upload videos as much as I would like to, but it's a lot going on. Like we trying to sell this property. The mother of my child, we were trying to work with each other, but she's just not on board. And it's not that I can't make it work. I just refuse to be with someone who doesn't have a, who doesn't want to become aware. That's such a turnoff to me. And we really actually could build. I mean, we moved here, her adopted parents had left her this property. They passed away. She doesn't even know what to do with it and how to manage it. And she really doesn't even care. She was left 2 houses and 28 acres. Okay, now we're in this position now where we have to sell it, trying to move. My son is going through his thing. He's reaching those that the age of 2, and he's doing his thing. I'm trying to accelerate his development, as much as I possibly can, because we living in times where we just don't know. Well, we just don't know. To where, like we talked about, because we don't know science, how they can get things past us. When we, talking about the issue of whether, I don't care if it's HIV or the new coronavirus. When you're talking about the viruses and how or vaccines, and how vaccines is the virus. You talk to black people all the time, like, oh, I got the flu shot, I got sick, because that's what a vaccination is. It is the virus. It's a weakened form of the virus, or what they call scientifically an attenuated form of the virus. Weakened so that it gives your body an opportunity to master it, so that when you come into contact with the wild virus, then you have no trouble fighting it off. That's what you have to understand. So when somebody's saying, when they say, oh well, we're looking for a vaccine for the coronavirus, we'll come up with one, they sound like an idiot, because a vaccine is the coronavirus. It's just supposed to be weakened. What the fuck are you talking about? See, this is what bro. Bro. You see what I'm saying? Because you have 3 type of white blood cells, main types. There's others, but one is called granulocytes. Okay, then you have lymphocytes and monocytes. All right, the granulocytes is the one that go out and they fight infection, because that's the most type of white blood cells that you have, right? And then you have the monocytes. The monocytes indicates to the granulocytes what they need to do, and the lymphocytes, or the leukocytes rather. I'm sorry. They end up leukocytes rather. The leukocytes end up becoming also your memory cell, because mind you, you make these cells. These cells don't last long, so you're always creating these cells. Okay, and so your leukocytes, end up becoming the memory cells. Some of your leukocytes become memory cells, and this is what they tried to trigger. They tried to trigger the memory cells of your leukocytes, so that when you come into contact with the wild virus, then your body understands exactly what it is, and it's able to get rid of it. That's what you need to know. So, like we talked about, if they're giving you a vaccine, they're giving you the virus. All right, and I don't have much time, but these were just some of the thoughts that were on my mind, and of course, like man, it's like this is how I rock. This is how I get down. I'm obsessed with my people. I'm obsessed with y'all because I love y'all. I really do, and I hope to receive that love back. It's not. I don't want people to think that I'm shying away from putting up as much content as I possibly can. I'm very methodical and very strategic as to what I put up, and I always think it's about timing. I never try to rush anything. When I try to do it on in a way in which when I feel it, that's when I post it. That's when I put it up. And so get ready for storms. This is just literally when I tell you, and I'm not saying it's just to keep people intrigued. This just the tip of the iceberg, man. These are just things that are random thoughts that that I like I said, I feel it, and then I want to give it to y'all. And so that's my time right now. That's this is hey, Ru Heinous again for Facts Over Feelings. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comment section and keep it coming. Let's get it.